Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back. After a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a hiatus, and a little bit of a different round 5 than you may be used to, we're back once again. I'm Ben Sapsford, aka Sappytron, and I will be taking you through this evening. Now, some important announcements. Fortunately, I will not be commentating over the Group 1 for this season any further due to some scheduling conflict, but I am still here for the Group 2. I'm not going anywhere in that regard. So we're going to still have a very nice time, even if we are in the second half of the season. I have missed a little bit, and I have missed SIMseniors. It's one of those leagues that I look forward to pretty much always. It can always guarantee a great time, no matter what way you slice it. But for now, though, let's talk about where we're at and let's talk about what we are doing here. It is Snetterton tonight. Beautiful track, a little piece of iconic British racing history, and a track that, despite its relatively low complexity on the surface, does demand drivers to be on their absolute A game. So this is where you're going to have to see drivers push and give it everything they have. I'm personally looking forward to seeing what these drivers are going to do, what they're capable of, as we are going to be jumping into the racing fairly shortly. But a couple of notes for those who haven't joined us before: make sure you like the stream, you give us a little bit of love, and you make sure to get involved, comment, like, subscribe, and get yourself in the action. We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord as well, and we are going to be jumping in with qualifying in just a second. It's a 15-minute quali session, and we have 60-minute race, mandatory pit stop with tyres, and we have ourselves a 3-class championship. Now this is where things are going to get interesting. We're about to go trackside in just a moment, folks, so do not go anywhere. But for now, we look towards the championship, and Mark Hughes currently leads with 249 points in the gold class, denoted by the white car numbers. You have Paul Wallace in the silver, who is going to be denoted by silver car numbers, and he is in 243 points in class. And then bronze with the red numbers is going to be Kevin Walker, who, despite a 15-point penalty, still leads with 231. But time is a-wasting, and racing is beginning. The qualifying time here at Snetterton and here with SIMseniors. Let's jump in and see what we can do. Right away, we're going to be on board with a couple of drivers. As we jump to the track map, we can see drivers going a little bit slowly. You've got a few cars who are setting some times here now, or at least getting their tyres warmed up. This is McKillop. He's going to be going for his inaugural run here, and he is going to be one of the cars to watch. So, has shown some pace in rounds prior, and this is your grid for tonight, folks, just a reminder. But enough of that. Let's take a look on board with McKillop and let's see what he can do. So he went past Senna Riches into Montreal. Now heavy hairpin tight to the apex. Bow it out to the outside. Ride the throttle a little bit as you come through. You can just see the 720S behind this beautiful Ferrari. Chasing him down. That is going to be, I believe, Broadbent. That's Gary Broadbent, the number 17 car. He's going to be on the prowl, on the charge, looking to make a statement. We've got some times already coming through. You've got Wilson, for instance. He is going to be in the, say, the inaugural times coming through. Chris Wilson goes second. Mark Hughes is going to be leading the charge with a 47.010. Carl Thompson, P3. Tony Hill immediately usurping him. Going to go P3 himself. Divatini is up there as well, and with Trickett, Lockhart. We're going to stick on board with McKillop now because it's looking like a fairly clean lap from him, and he could disrupt the top class, the gold class here. Paul Murray is going to insert himself into the P2 spot as more drivers are going to come filtering through. You've got Trickett up there. You've got Gila, Lockhart, Moore. All going to be coming through, but as we come through to the final segment of this lap here, we've got Bombhole. And then you're going to be taking a long, sweeping right-hander. You can see committed to the apex here is this Ferrari. Has to keep it as far to the edge as possible. Dodges the sausage curbs on the final corner. That's going to be Murray's. And then the center straight, full throttle, full gear. What is it going to be for McKillop here? It's going to be a good run, I feel. It's going to be P6, so a couple of seconds behind, but still a decent statement nonetheless. It's going to be certainly a good run for, well, a good evening for a lot of these drivers, I've no doubt. Trickett now is going to be coming through, and it's going to be another driver that we need to keep an eye on. So Wilson's going to be going up. A little bit of an improvement there, but I don't think it's going to be enough to make a position. So eyes right now. Trickett's got a fairly hefty improvement. Murray as well, but a little bit further back. Trickett could get a couple of places here. Quarter of a second. That's going to put him up to the top 10. It's P9 here for the pink Ferrari. Next up, you've got a couple of other cars. You've got Tony Hill coming across the line. 3/10 faster currently. Is going to be pushing themselves into the top 5 potentially. No, doesn't seem to be so. P7 for now. Looking around the rest of the field, you've got Giovanni Gila in the Aston Martin, in the Vantage. A couple of drivers making some very good headway as well. Dorigo, for instance. All the OM50 cars. Gila goes into P10. Very impressive. So we have 29 cars out on the field tonight. And a fairly healthy balance of drivers throughout. You've got Peter Smith about to set their first time in the Porsche right now. Little bit dicey on the exit there. Just took a bit too much speed, I think. So they compromised probably about half a second in this final stretch. Either way, what's their time going to be? It is going to be P20 at a 51.6. So that is going to be a driver who I know for a fact is wanting some improvement. Chris Wilson, another Aston Martin out on track tonight. They're one of, I believe, 4 in this grid here. In fact, rarest car on the track is the Lamborghini. So the Super Trofeo is going to be the rarest car on track right now. We're not seeing any other major picks. We're seeing a lot of Ferraris, a lot of McLarens. You got a few Porsches, and then crowning it all as Chris Wilson is going to be coming through, setting a pretty decent time. Can Cole Thompson leapfrog him though? It's going to be a good run, but it's not going to be the one. 47.8 as things stand. A few more drivers to watch as we have got 7 minutes left of this qualifying. Conrad Payne has, I think, about to start one because their last lap was a 3:10. So call me crazy, but I do not believe that that was their full run. Yeah, 3:13.9. We have 29 cars here. So Iravasuri, P18 right now. You've got a few drivers though yet to set a time. A couple of drivers, Devine up into P14 now. You've got Bull, Finlay, Centre and Correa. And Centre on that matter, as we spoke about, very nice looking Lamborghini, but the only Lamborghini, though, saying that it has gone off. So he has just overextended at Palmer. No, that's Ogles, sorry. And rejoining just on the entry to Williams. That is unfortunate. That's going to be an invalidation there. Keith Moore, another driver who wants to make a bit of improvements, currently sitting on a 53.9, and they're going to be starting a lap shortly. Chris Lockett, going to be one who is making some decent time up. And a driver who is going to be on the watch for any potential opportunities here. Coming across the start-finish line, it is an improvement. 49.5. They are going to be jumping up, though only to P17. It's still a quality result. That is going to put them P8 in class. Leader of each class to say you've got Paul Murray. Excellent driving. Just a 10.5 clear. Well, 10.5 behind Hughes. So really excellent driving from this McLaren here. And that is where we leave things. So you've got Conrad Payne, 49.6. And this grid really is extremely tight in some areas. You've got the two drivers all saying that Conrad has had an absolute weapon of a run. It's a 48 flat. It's going to be P9 for the bronze class driver, and without a doubt going to be putting him top of class. That's a tough challenge to That's a tough challenge to muster. Paul Wallace, also on a very good run, almost 2 seconds up, and with a 49.2. This could leapfrog them, and it does. Leapfrogs him all the way to P3. Net P2, but an amazing job coming from this Ferrari driver. Wizzy Motorsport is going to be very proud of him in the paddock. Couple more cars to mention. Colomb, 48.5, goes into P15. Next up on the field to make a substantial improvement is Chris Locker. We jumped on board with him a little bit earlier. You can see him getting very close to the curves. Interestingly, through Coram takes a bit of a wider line, doesn't hold it 100% tight to the apex, and I think he wants to take a bit more speed. If he can take a wider swing through Murray's and then gun it on the throttle, then he can get a good time. The 720S, very good in a straight line, has a lot of power behind it, and with a 49.0, it is an improvement, and it's up to P18. Curiously enough, only driver left to set a time on the boards is going to be David Center. And with a wide line, even wider than the McLaren we just saw, is going to see him compromise a bit of speed on the final corner. But it is going to be a time on the board. What time is it going to be? Let's see what it comes out to. It is a P29. It's a 51.8, but it is a time on the board. It's your home base. It's a safe zone. And that's the most important thing that matters. Got Angelo Correa. And, ooh, wait, is that a bit of Armco on the track? What is that? I'm not sure what's going on there, but that does look like a bit of Armco is just sat on the track. Not sure why that's there and why that hasn't been cleared. Baralo in the final corner now. Seeing the kind of speeds that they can pick up. Let's take a look. Over 200 kilometers an hour, 220 as it crosses the start-finish line, and with an improvement is going to jump up to P20 for now. I have no doubt in my mind, however, that is going to be leapfrogged in no time at all. Kugellenberg, P27 now, P27 still. Despite an improvement, it's not enough. Few more cars that are going to be pushing. Few more cars to really keep an eye on, as we are going to see, without a doubt, some big jumps in this quali order. We have got just 2 minutes left here, folks, so it is going to be coming up to final runs, and drivers are going to have to consider how they are going to be setting themselves up for the race. That 60-minute race, qualifying could be everything, because Snetterton is many things, and a track with braking zones, well, large quantities of braking zones, is not one of them. Yeah, there you go. 3/4 of a second up. This could theoretically put him into the top 10, and yes, it does. He connects it to the line, and it is going to be P7 for this Ferrari 296. An amazing stuff from him, I have to say. Peels off to the side, heading back into the pit lane. Anthony Flack now P6, directly above him, is making an improvement of his own. And keep in mind, P4 in class, but a good run here could put him right on the back of Hughes. And with the multi-class setup that we have here, what matters is that you are pushing against your class. You don't want to get caught in traffic. You don't want to get fighting with other class members. And P6 now across the line. It's going to be a good one, but it's not going to be a valid one. I think he invalidated at that last corner. So now is going to be a bit more pressure on Flack's end, because he has realistically this only lap to go, and then it is game over. McKillop now, another driver to look at. Yeah, that Armco's still there, but luckily off the racing line, nobody's touching it. Let's jump aboard and see how he's driving. I've got to say, Hello Kitty livery, I rate it. It is a quality livery, that. And much love as always to whether someone else is doing it. Oh, that's an invalidation from a kill up there. Just too much on that final corner. It's very easy to misjudge. But something that is not happening for Mark Hughes He's currently leading. He's got pole so far, 47.010. But could he make it into the 46s? He does. It's a .917. He's gonna break the magic 46 barrier as the checkered flag falls just in time here. Paul Wallace now coming across to the line. He's going to be the next one on the hot seat, and he is just going to be behind by about half a tenth of a second. It's coming up to crunch time for a lot of these drivers here. A lot of them in the pits have conceded that they're not going to get an improvement. And now, Alex North, he's going to be one that could make a big swing. Majority of the gold class have pitted in, are not committed to full laps, and certainly a lot of the silver class are wrapped up here. The only one on track still is Murray and Finlay, but North, big swing and a big hit. He's going to go up there, and then Anthony Flack is going to go one better. He is going to get a .037 and place himself right on the front row. Excellent stuff there from Flack. Brilliant job. Chris Wilson coming across the line, unfortunately not making an improvement, given a tap on the wall for good luck. Keith Moore, last driver, or second to last, I believe. Then we've got a couple more. Give the pun. More here, coming to the line. He has got about a tenth, but it's not enough to make a position. He remains P27. Carl Thompson, next one on. Could get a bit further on the row. And oh wow, Thompson, out of complete nowhere, was P4, jumps it to pole, 46.89. McKillop doesn't make an improvement, which means Carl Thompson is your quali, well, your pole position. He's the winner of the quali session, and that's going to put him in very good stead here tonight. Mark Hughes takes the second spot, with Anthony Flack making it a top 3 run for the gold class. Paul Murray and Paul Wallace going to complete those next 2 positions in the silver, and then you can go down and you can see the rest of the field. In terms of the bronze class, Conrad Payne, P12 on track with a very good run, followed by Kevin Walker. And then right down to the bottom of the field, you can see on the timing sheets, the majority of the bronze class, P24, 5, 6, and then P28 and 9 in bronze, with silver taking the majority of the mid-pack. Correa, Gila, Trickett and Finlay all putting on a good show, and being only separated, in the case of 20 to 22, by about a tenth of a second. So things are going to get heated. Things are very much going to get heated. It's going to get spicy. Going to take a quick intermission, folks, while we get ourselves set up and get ourselves moving trackside. But don't go anywhere. SimSeniors is about to heat up because we are in the second half of the season and we are going to have some good times ahead. Stay tuned. Okay, folks, we are about to go trackside. We are moments away from the formation lap beginning. A reminder for you all before we go trackside that it is a 60-minute race. We have a mandatory pit stop for all drivers, and you can optionally get tyres. It's going to be a strategic trade-off, but it's always one to consider. Most drivers go for it. The grip does lend itself to it, but it's about the balance. Are you in a position to save the tyres, or are you going to go all out and get the stop in? That's all the questions to be answered. We had an amazing qualifying here, but it's a time to go trackside, and it's time to see who is going to take the crown for round 6. Immediately, we jump trackside for the outlap here, and the drivers to watch. Carl Thompson with an absolute stormer in quali, 46.8. Leapfrogs Hughes, who for the most of the session looked untouchable with the 47.010 and then later the 46.9. He's going to be one to watch for sure. Now, the rest of the field, in the silver class, you have Paul Murray, closely followed by Paul Wallace. And then down further, you have Dorigo in P9, but third in the table for the class. Andy Flack as well, up in P3. Shout to him. Excellent driving thus far. Looking into the bronze class before we get things started and underway, we have Conrad Payne down in P12. You have Kevin Walker in P15. And then down the bottom, you've got Peter Smith leading the majority of the bronze class in the pack of their own, near the rear end of the field. Some amazing driving is about to commence, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these drivers have in store. You can see drivers are taking immediately different stances on strategy. Are they going for early tyre heat, or are they going to try and let the track do the tyre heating for them? Because some of these corners, Karam, Riches, Brundle, they are pretty quick corners, or certainly require a lot of braking and lateral grip mechanically. So I hope that these drivers have adjusted their tyre pressures and their spring rates accordingly with the track. Have to observe the approaches that these drivers take. They're coming through. It's going to be formation time. Down to 60 kilometers an hour. Get everyone formed up. And then we are moments away from go time. Everyone needs to get in double file and do so fast because we are rounding the final corner. Stay in formation. Get nice and close. Make some friends. Make yourself at home. We've got an hour of racing ahead. Round 6 is about to begin. As soon as the green flag falls, it is game time. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see some quality racing here. It's time to go. And that is the green flag. It is go. The track is hot. And we are away immediately. Amazing start from Carl Thompson as he's going to try and get that early breakaway. A little bit of a fight underneath him as you got Paul Wallace trying to find some space up against a couple of other drivers on this field. You've got a couple of the Ferraris fighting for space. You've got Alex North getting immediately a run on the inside. Some excellent driving from all of the drivers here. We have a little bit of an incident though down the back. That is going to be a banner being pushed by, I believe, Divittini. Let's kind of get a bit of a replay on what happened there. I want to try and see just what kicked off. Oh, contact. So typical, sometimes happens. First couple of corners, it's a bit of contact. Just a tap on the rear, nothing too offensive, but that has put him all the way down to the back of the queue. and he's certainly not going to be happy. Back up in the mid-pack, you can see a big queue starting to form. You've got Chris Wilson right in the heat of it, trying to see what he can do and to any potential that he can make on his opponents. You've got McKillop as well, who is trying to close the gap to the Aston Martin ahead of him. And as Carl Thompson is trying to get a bit of a breakaway, Paul Murray is marooned 1.2 seconds behind Hughes at time. Oh, looking a little bit close, looking a little bit dicey. That's an overtake coming from Wilson on McKillop here. He's got the inside. He's going to go for it. He's committed through bomb hole. Karam coming around now. So do they take the tight apex or do they go a bit wider? You can see Dorigo's not taking the one line down on McKillop. He's trying to force a position, not force a position per se, but definitely try and put pressure to exert their opponent. Make them go into defensive stance. They don't want them to get comfortable, because once you get comfortable and you start hot lapping, that's when you run into some issues as their opponent. Mark Hughes now. P2. Very good quali. Has a point to prove coming into the race. Looking for chances, opportunities. Andy Goddard, another driver who has been fighting hard but has just been overtaken by Paul Wallace. Wallace wants to get back up to Murray and wants to fight for the lead of the Silvers. Looks like we've got a big old incident happening, as there's been a lot of positional change down the back end of the field. Vasuri maybe had an off-track excursion, although cannot confirm, and replay shortcuts don't seem to be working, unfortunately. Chris Wilson definitely having a bit of a struggle there, as he just got overtaken very quickly. That is the number 73 Ferrari, seeming to be in the middle of the action fairly consistently. Kellenberg, he's off track. What's happened to him? Let's see what he was trying to go for. So he was fighting, I believe, with Moore. And this is just a bit of a tap. Both cars off, although Kellenberg is in a much worse state. That is going to see him right down at the bottom of the field, and maybe with some lasting damage, because that is a very wide line for Ruggles and into Williams. I think he might have choice words. I think the apology channel is going to be lighting up a little bit tonight. Not the turn 1 chaos that we have seen in rounds past, which is good, but still a little bit of argy-bargy here and there. Jump back to the helicam, get a bit of a more aerial view of what is going on here. And what do we see? It's only the leaders continuing to do battle. And they're going to be continuing to push each other to the ragged edge and to the limit. We're only 5 minutes into this 60-minute race, folks, and we've already got fireworks happening on track. A bit further down, checking in on the likes of the bronze class, we have a bit of a development. Peter Smith down in P21, trying to close a bit of gap to the fighters ahead of him. You've got Kevin Walker, who's in a bit of a battle of his own. He's going to be fighting against Lockout to try and assert P13, because if he can do that, he can catch up to Conrad. Conrad is the key to him winning in the bronze class, so he of course wants to get round this silver class driver. Got a bit of a trade happening between Paul Murray and Anthony Flack here. I think we saw a brief attempt at an overtake. Yeah, so briefly Flack did have, as I say, did have track control, but then just an overextension is going to see him go into P4, and then now Murray into P5 as Wallace has made an overtake and taken the lead of the silver. Oh, and what has happened down here? We've got a bit of an incident from Mike Bull, complete in isolation. Let's see what he does. Bit of a late brake, way too late on the brakes there. Didn't sufficiently slow down. So just taking too much speed into there. Has dirty tyres, and he's not really having a good time. But oh, what's happened up here? There's carnage. Kevin Walker, he's crossed the track. Let's get a replay of what happened there. So just a bump on the rear. 2 makes 3. That is going to be 2 cars into the grass. Third, crossing right into the path of, I think that was Gela. Bit of a dangerous maneuver there. A little bit of a dangerous maneuver crossing the track after an incident like that. Should have focused on staying out of the way of drivers on the racing line, even if it means you don't get the quickest of set-offs. Him trying to just keep it. I kind of froze there for a second because I literally look away and try and look at my timing table for a couple of seconds, and I come back and I see Paul Wallace just completely out of the running. He slid off and is having absolutely zero luck here in the grass, just trying to recover. He has got himself back into things, but say just going off at Nelson is looking a little bit worse for wear. Very close to the back is Peter Smith. See how the rest of the field is doing. Bruce Hopkins now P16 and the net P8 in the gold class. And oh, that is going to be someone off. That is Correo. Corello. Not sure how you pronounce it. I do apologise. Just sweeping a little bit wide over Riches. Through Montreal has conceded himself down into P16. But these two are going to certainly be keeping close proximity to each other. A bit further up the field, got Andrew, P7, but not content. Looking for the P6, trying to make an attack on North. A little bit of a difficult line for Ogles. And then down through Williams. And whoa, that got a little bit dicey there. That was not ideal. Let's get a bit of a replay, a play-by-play. So you can see that is the Aston Martin of Wilson going for it down the side. Not really, say, all of the space in the world, but still enough to make it through. And then they just make contact corner to corner. Not ideal there. McKillop survives, but Wilson down into P10 now is not going to be happy. And in fact, you can see him. He's a lot more overzealous with his overtakes. He's fighting hard. He wants to make that time back. He is far from happy. Hughes has just set the fastest lap with a 47.257. So he's looking in good standing there. And is making a statement of pace as he's trying his best to catch up to Carl Thompson, the driver to beat in tonight's run, it seems. Unfortunate stories for some drivers here tonight. Barry Finlay is going to be making a pretty good move there on Coulomb. Potentially eyeing up a second one. Corallo is going to be a little bit slow. Had a rough exit out of Montreal. Down into Palmer, eyeing up his opportunities. You see a little bit of tussling a bit further back too. And they're certainly keeping his wits about him. Oh, that is going to be a bump on the inside bollard. He's going to go for it. Oh, go for it he does, but call that optimistic. The space was not there. And he's going to be... technically, he doesn't make a position at all, because any pace he immediately gained, he is now lost, with Wallace and Cohen both overtaking him. Carallo's now been resigned to P24 and not going to be happy. Not by any stretch of the imagination. So curious to see how that pans out. Bit of aggression going to be starting to come out from these drivers as the patience is going to wear thin, but patience has been rewarded at the front. Hughes kept his head down, put on a good drive within the same 10th, so only 40 milliseconds splits his last lap from his previous lap, which was the fastest of the session. So he's got the consistent pace down, and he's trying to catch Thompson with every ounce of his being. Wallace and Colomb having a bit of a tussle. Going into Riches. Colomb bows out. Colomb makes contact with Finlay. He's going to be off into the grass. Rejoins down in P22. A little bit of a dicey rejoin, but he kind of had to do it. On P22. Broadbent is going to be fighting with that space. He is eventually going to secure the P21. But not in ideal scenarios at all. I'd forgive him being frustrated with what's going on. But at the same time, got to keep your cool. A race like this is one of attrition. You don't want to be going for any moves that can be considered a little bit too confident, or you are going to just land yourself in trouble. So we jump down on board with Corello, and we can see things have gone from bad to worse. Oggy's been a difficult corner for quite a few drivers, but in particular this one, he seems to be struggling on pace quite severely. I do wonder if he's got any aero damage, which is compromising his run in a big way. A bit further up, battle continues. Bettini is going to be chasing and getting the move done through Karam into the penultimate corner, and now final corner here. Broadbent looking for an opportunity to get a breakaway, hasn't quite got it. Iravasuri is on his tail end and he's hot on it in that Porsche. Most menacing looking, the black with the red lights. That is a terrifying image to see. Porsche down the inside now through Riches, heading into Montreal. He's going to have the advantageous line. A little bit of a wide run there from Broadbent. Is it going to be a full commit from the Porsche? Yes, it is. He's going to have apex. He's going to be gripped up. He's going to get P23 in an excellent display of racing right there. No frills, no fuss, just got the move done. Amazing stuff. Things have, for the most part, however, settled down on the field. This is where, coming up to the quarter mark of the race, we get into the more reserved zone of the stint. Drivers are going to be now considering, have I got any damage? Is it a good time to pit? You see Corrado just coming out there. You've got David Center, who has seemingly turned it a complete 180 out of Agostini, and is struggling to get it out of the grass. So he's not looking too hot there. But drivers, short of a few, are making more reserved decisions. They're not going hyper aggressive with their strategy. They are taking their time. I've said that and Devine has gone round. Let's take a bit of a replay of what happened there. Was it spurred on by anything? Nope, just a little bit too wide of a line, too much on the grass, and he's going to see a loss of grip on that back end. Hit him round. So he's going to be down into P23 now. Potentially P24. Yep, 24 for him. So he's down right at the bottom of this order. And in this class, not looking too great. Currently sitting in P9. But certainly continuing the fight, which is what we love to see. Where do we stand with the times? Here is where we stand, ladies and gentlemen. So Your overall timing and standing sheets are as follows. Thompson, Hughes and Flack make up the top 3. And with the silver class, you have yourself an interesting scenario. Dorigo down in P8, trying to close the gap to Murray in P4. Hill and Lockhart could be locking horns if they get any closer to each other. But then you've got a bit further down a couple of fights. You've got Dibattini, for instance, who I think we're going to tune back in with right now. He's going to be trying to push, get around Colomb here, also in the gold class. Going to have the inside. Oh, there's contact. There is contact. They are in the wall. Who's going to make the recovery faster? And oh no, it's contact again. I'm not sure what Colomb was doing. If we take a quick look back at that, I'm not sure what he was doing there, because you had Dibattini with the space and Colomb tried to run across. Dibattini could have given more space there. That doesn't change the fact that it did come across the line. Iravasuri is also off. I really shouldn't say anything when it comes to the track calming down, because clearly I am a jinx in that regard. McKillop now, a driver that we've been jumping to a few times, both in quali and now the race, but he has consistently kept things interesting. He's sitting in P7, and he's chasing down, very familiar, Aston Martin. Alex North, consistently doing well, is the target, is the driver to beat for this Ferrari. Now, I don't envy North's position. North has got a tough job of making sure he keeps on pace and tries to catch up to Goddard, but doesn't do so much as to compromise his line, leave himself open to attack. So that Ferrari, the number 73 car, is not going anywhere. It's going to keep on the tail. It's going to keep putting on pressure and fighting, and wants Alex to make a mistake. But the time will come. But the time is now for the two McLarens of Broadbent and Dibattini. They are going to be drag racing. They had a little bit of a fight through Williams. This is going to be Broadbent keeping committed to the inside. The Ferrari of Devine is getting involved, but isn't going to make a move stick. Not for now, anyway. Statement of intent has been made by the 435 car. And now is where things really come push to shove. You're going to see drivers fighting, giving it their all. Guillaume down into P25 after an excursion. Bit too far through Nelson in a time, or tale as old as time. Drivers overextend at Nelson and have to pull themselves back out from the grass. But to his credit, did keep in control of the car. No spins, no wheel spin, pitting him round. Let's see where things are moving to. McKillop is going to be one to patiently keep an eye on. Drivers have mostly calmed down, separated. But where we see Hopkins, that's going to be a very good move on Conrad Payne. He's got the pace, he's got the speed, and he's got the means to make it all work. This is the time where drivers are going to be pushing to their own relative space. If you're not in a battle, you're going to be trying to extend your gap to your opponent and get yourself a bit of a safety net. Time to see what these drivers will do. I, for one, am very excited, because I know for a fact that some of these racers here, they don't mess around. They want these positions, and they are going to fight tooth and nail to get them. A little bit of a brief yellow coming out. I believe Mike will had a bit of an excursion off the track, but again, calming down. We are 22 minutes in. Coming up to the halfway mark. Goddard. Oh, he's going for it. He's got the push. He had the speed. Murray seemingly either yielded or really compromised their line heading into Nelson, because that almost looked free. Goddard in a P4. He's going to be closing in, but he has got 3 seconds to make up if he wants to get onto the podium. Curiously, I don't think I've ever seen this in ACC, but we have Thompson and Hughes simultaneously having the fastest lap of the race, down to the millisecond of 1:47.257. I don't think I've ever seen it in this game. That is ridiculous. We came up with an amazing move, but look at this, 47.257 for Hughes. And what's Thompson got? 47.257. These drivers are scarily matched. They are scarily matched up. I'm expecting absolute scenes should these drivers come into close proximity once again. Drivers are going to be making moves in due time. Either I'm going to stay on board for now, going to see what it does. I'm very curious as to some of the car choices, I have to say. I'm missing the Bentley. I'm missing the Bentley here. Sad to not see Tennant on the field, because you want those interesting picks. So we have got a good variety out on track, luckily. Walker is going to be peeking down the inside coming out of Riches into Montreal, but is not going to be making a move this time round. Could see a duel of the Aston Martins coming up very soon, though. Chris Wilson and Alex North are getting very close to one another. Moore has going into the pits and he's going for a pit stop. Carrero, Galom, all doing the same. A couple of drivers now heading in. So you've got two very different looking liveries, and I love them both. You've got one that goes for the nostalgia factor. You see a classic early McLaren Mercedes, and then you've got one that is new, it's bright, it's vibrant. Both of them amazing paints in their own right. And both of these drivers very close to having a duel of their own. So currently P8. Could be making that a P7. It's P7 in class at least, but North is P6 up ahead. The drivers now coming out of the pit lane. Dibertini and Smith are making a quick headway, but Dibertini's got a gap to close, 9.1 seconds behind Finlay. So work is to be done. 4 drivers at this point in time have taken stops. Vasuri and Broadbent are going to trade places in the background. You might just seen for a frame there. But eyes are further up, and eyes are looking at Wilson. He's going to go for it. He's pushing through Agostini into Hamilton now. Going to be having the inside line. Smith is looking a little bit dicier further back, but for now, Wilson has got the P7 and is immediately going to continue that momentum because Mikhailov is right up ahead. Trickett and Gila also having a fight of their own. Trickett has just been demoted because that Aston Martin, the number 34 car, looking like an absolute rocket ship. Trickett is certainly not giving that one up without a fight, though. We saw him peel to the side. Gila there. Wilson has headed into the pits. Curiously enough, just after getting the move done, they've gone into the pits. I'm not sure what the rationale is there. Maybe it's just what the strategy called for. Bull also in the pits now to take their mandatory stop. We're sticking on board with Trickett for now because Walker's behind and Gila's up front. This trio of cars is looking to make a stand and get some potentially big position gains because they can push each other forward. I'm very curious to see what Trickett's going to do in this situation. That's why we're sticking on board with him. His Trickett has to balance the attack and the defense. One wrong move here could send him not only into P14 but potentially beyond. So I'm nervous as to how they're going to do here in managing that pressure, managing the speed, the pace. Not to mention, they're going to have to be considerate of the dirty air and the dirty air and the wash of that Vantage up ahead. A bit of a wind on this track throughout the race so far has seen drivers be a bit more considerate of their aero balance. But nothing ridiculous. Nothing unfathomable that they cannot control. Murray into the pits now, lead of the silver class, which means that Dorigo is going to inherit that leading spot. A bit further up, here's Smith going very slow out the exit of the pit lane, potentially either waiting for traffic or having a bit of a peripheral issue. But look at this pink Ferrari, so close to the back of the Aston. Just want to sit here and observe. This is like watching a driver's thought process in real time, because you cannot just throw the car in. You cannot just throw the car in and expect to get the position. That's not how racing works, not how real racing works. So what we're seeing in real time from this Ferrari here is we're seeing them constantly observe their opponent, watch their moves, watch their lines, look for an opportunity and see if they can, wherever available, assert their position and assert the fact that if this Aston is making just a single mistake, then there is going to be an issue. But simultaneously, you have to manage that pressure yourself. As we saw from Trickett there, a little bit of a wide swing out of Williams is going to see the nerves be on display too. He knows the high pressure position that he's in. He knows for a fact that a mistake here will be costly. So we have a bit of an issue further back, and that is going to be Devine. Let's see what's happened. And out of Williams there. Oh, big slip, and oh, massive impact against the wall. He's definitely going to be heading into the pits with damage after that one. That front aero is not going to be pleased with that move. Kevin Walker now into the pits along with Tony Hill. A few more drivers are going to enter those ranks. We're seeing the crossover point now at the halfway point of the race, where now 16 drivers remain to take their stops. 2 of them taking them right now, leaving 14 yet to head into the lane. Looking at the rest of the field for now, it looks like Carl Thompson leads with 1.8 seconds. Then behind him you've got Anthony Flack with a 7-second gap, and then 10 behind that is going to be Goddard. Carl Thompson is heading into the pits. This does give Hughes a chance at the top. He could make use of some of this clean air and clean space to get a bit of time on his opponent, get an advantage where he can. High strategy is important, because if you come out into traffic like Thompson very well could do, he's going to be in a difficult spot. Needs to be considerate of where he's coming out and if he's going to have to fight for any major positions. Vasuri in the pits as well. Potentially coming out now. Thompson is going to be with Dorigo and McKillop, as they have also joined him in the lane. Wallace trying to get a move done on track, but looking very dicey. Chasing down Kellenberg in the McLaren. And then now we see that is going to be called Thompson coming out. Trickett into the pits. Thompson, where are they going to come out? They are going to be coming out in clean air and in P5. So very strong power position for the Porsche here. Let's take a quick gander of the field. Let's look at our timesheets, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see the divisions of the spreads. Winners and losers tonight. So far, Hughes, Flack and Goddard, though yet to take their stops, are currently leading for the golds. In the silvers, we have Murray and Trickett, very close proximity to each other. We could see that lead change at any time. But as it stands, they are going to be leading along with Devine a bit further back. In the bronze class, though, we have Conrad Payne, who has taken their stop. Broadbent in the pits right now in second, with Walker going to be taking that. Oh no, Walker's just been inheriting the second place position for the class, so they're going to be very happy. Goddard and Flack now in the pits. It's going to be good. This is where things spice up. This is where things get interesting. Paul Murray now going to be looking for an opportunity on Divittini here. Is there going to be a move? No, not quite yet. Brundle is going to call quits on that attack early, but a very good run is going to see through... No, not through to the inside. But Murray is not giving up yet. He's going to keep the nose in. He's going to try and attack. He's going to try and attack. He's getting so close to the raggedy edge of grip here. You can see Bose out, tries to get a better exit. Heavy on the throttle there, but saying that, Divittini's made the move for him. Divittini's in the pits. Murray has gotten through his stop already, doesn't need to fight this fight. He doesn't need to fight this fight, and I think that is a big takeaway across the field. The good and the great drivers are separated, while yes, by skill, more importantly, are separated by racecraft. Racecraft is not just keeping clean. Racecraft is about keeping clean and also knowing not just if you can attack, but knowing when to attack. How that's going to serve you 3, 4, 5 laps down the line. Is it going to compromise your strategy? Is it going to put your car in an unfavourable state? Maybe you get a bit of blistering and a bit of grip level fluctuation on the tyres by pushing too hard and exceeding temperatures. That is racecraft right there. Understanding on a deeper level and being able to think 2, 3 steps ahead of your opponent. Being able to exploit that and turn it into meaningful moves. Moves that stick. Not just for a few corners, but for the rest of the race. Now with 23 minutes to go, this is where we currently stand. Only 2 cars yet to pit. With North currently in, that leaves Hughes and Devine. And I have no doubt that they are going to make that stop very, very soon. I'm just keeping an eye on your Surrey here. Despite a little bit of rough and tumble, the number 992 car is looking to make some changes, make some attacks. Devine now in the pits. Stephen Devine, ultimate driver to do so. With Hughes also joining him. Now, I want to see what happens to Hughes in a minute, because where they come out on track is going to massively impact how the rest of this race goes for the Gold Runners. Devine now down to P17. Mark Hughes, any minute now he's going to have to start moving if he wants to keep his position. Di Bettini also looking to fight for a position, but is a second behind Walker, losing time fast. Thompson now going to be going around the edge of Karam and giving a bit of space on the apex. But let's see where this battle lands us. Oh, Thompson coming up to start the 22nd, I believe, lap. And we're going to see that Hughes is out. Hughes is there. And Hughes is right in the path of Thompson. And Thompson is going to come immediately side by side. He's going to push it around the edge of Riches. And in Montreal is going to confirm the P1 take. But he goes wide. He goes a little bit wide, hasn't got the speed that he wanted, so this fight is only just beginning, ladies and gentlemen. Thompson has re-established a lead, but Hughes is not going to take that one lying down, not by any stretch of the imagination. Well, that is going to be someone off track right there. I believe that was one of the Ferraris of Corello. I'm very curious to see how this fight pans out. Hughes has got a difficult situation on his hands. He's come out of the pits. He's got the race leader right in front of him. By all accounts, the pit strategy worked nearly to perfection. Thompson just swung with a little bit extra speed out of the pit exit. A couple better laps and better times could have seen Hughes definitively take the lead of this race. And I'm sure that is going to be a harsh pill to swallow for this Ferrari driver. Coming up to lap 22 now. The cards are set. The deck is on the table. Fireworks are going to be in close proximity. McKillop Getting a bit dicey there. That's not ideal. Having a bit of I don't even want to comment. I honestly don't even want to comment. We jump back to the action on track side. We have Paul Wallace here. Yeah, lost words. Yeah. Struggling to get back in. Whoa, what was that rejoin? What was that rejoin from Quinkellenberg there? Okay. I am going to move this way now. I am moving this way. I am moving up to P7. And we are going to talk about McKillop again. Let's see. McKillop getting a bit of an overextension coming through Williams. I'm sorry, I'm just fully taken out of my element there. I'm just really struggling to see what I can make of it. Back up to the top. We look and see. We look and see what is happening. And the leaders are continuing, to their credit, they are continuing to chase each other, continuing to put pressure on. Hughes is the one to watch right now, because Hughes will get very close to the back. No, that's contact. That is contact between the two leaders, but to his credit, Hughes does not make an unfair overtake. He does yield, and in fact does give extra space to sort of pay the penance, as it were. So no intent there. No intent. Yields. Sportsmanship being shown despite things getting dicey. Goes to show that Hughes does definitely want the position, but still wants to get it done cleanly. Get it fairly done. Get it on track. Jump a bit further round. And as we come to the final 15 minutes of this race, there are certainly things that we can talk about, but I'm going to refrain because, to be perfectly honest with you, there are words that I will not be saying on this broadcast in regards to some of the actions on track. All I will say is that we do need to make sure, as drivers, we hold ourselves to high standards. We are sportsmanlike and we are mindful of the track space and who's using it. We look towards McKillop as Hughes has dropped away from Thompson. We're going to take a look at this little mid-pack battle here. This is the battle for P5 in the gold class. McKillop seems to have struggled, so he had a bit of a difficult exit coming out in Brundle and Nelson. Not looking ideal for him. Let's see, and oh, what has happened there? There is a yellow flag flagging up on my screen, and the replay button has decided to automatically take me to it. Seems like Broadbent was the one that raised the flag. Whoa! Okay, turns out it was just a minor hiccup of connection. Do apologise for that one, folks. A little bit of technical gremlins on the background. We have a new setup on the back end in terms of layouts and in terms of some connection settings, so stream should be more stable, a little bit more consistent, but simultaneously has introduced a couple of bugs, so I do apologise profusely for that. Look a bit further down, you can see P24, Paul Wallace, looking for opportunities, peeks to the left, refrains, pulls back. Kellenberg, number 23 car, One that has certainly been the centre of some action here on tonight's racing. Wallace looking for a chance, and a chance is not materialising. Certainly not one that he can make around safely. He's going to decide to go for it. He's going to go onto the marbles. Out Karam. He loses a ton of pace. He concedes in a big way to the point where he goes off a track. Though they are lapped cars and he does stay out of the way. Still not looking ideal for him because he was genuinely on for an attack. We jump to the front. We see McKillop now making good on some of his promises and attacks. Which is... and into Montreal now. A very good exit there from North. He's going to have to get around the lapped car. Blue flags for Quinkellenberg, and he is going to go to the outside line and yield for the track. And oh, that's contact! Wilson is off the track. Wilson was off the track. Luckily, did not lose a position, but lost a ton of time. He's going to be out of this fight, at least for the near future. I don't know if that's recoverable in the race time frame. Curiously enough, Hughes has set the new fastest lap and taken away the tie between himself and Thompson. A 47.115 is going to see that Ferrari take the purple number. And although he's P2 right now, it does show that he's willing to push. He wants to get it and get that position hard. As we come through to lap 26 now. In terms of close proximity, drivers are looking around, and I think there's been a sort of subconscious agreement that we are playing it safe for the last 11 minutes because nobody's going for moves. Drivers have some proximity and consistency, and the consistency is what they want to keep. They don't want to be getting themselves into any trouble. So as we come up to the final 10 minutes, stick on board with Mark Hughes as a potential contender to take the lead of the race. Thompson has done an excellent job defending. He's really staked his claim. Oh, getting very close to the Ferrari. He's staked a claim. He has no intention of giving that position up without a fight. And it has been a hard but fair fight. Even when things have come to blows and get a little bit too aggressive. Hughes case going into the back of him, into Montreal. The important thing here is sportsmanship and getting the track, well, having the track to yourself, but getting the move done cleanly. Goddard has had a bit of an issue and has gone off. Let's see what happens. Once again, Brundle. And a big slide. Maybe too much braking there. And out of Nelson. Luckily, big runoff there. Certainly saved some drivers. Trying to rejoin cleanly and out of the way. Drivers are certainly hedging their bets in the points and the standings. Everyone is now potentially thinking about the wider championship implications of some of their driving. Remember, we do have penalties and we have points penalties. So some drivers are certainly going to get some ramifications for the actions that have taken place on this circuit. And to what extent, I couldn't tell you. I'm not a steward. I can opine on certain parts of this race and some of the actions of the drivers on the field. But I'm not going to sit here as judge, jury, and executioner, telling you that this person deserves this penalty and this one deserves another. With 9 minutes to go, some drivers are hedging their bets on an attack. Killop getting a little bit too aggressive, taking too much speed out there, is going to see a substantial drop. A little bit of a connection hiccup has seen them throw a yellow flag and it refuses to go away, but I can see them driving right here. I know that they're fine, barring a bit of an excursion off at Nelson. Well, we've got Gary Broadbent, who has just dropped down to more, and not for, say, like any particular reason other than they just lost the pace. But enough of that jibber jabber, because now the exit of Montreal into Palmer now. Hughes just tried to launch an attack on Thompson, and while it hasn't worked, he knows, this Porsche knows, it is crunch time. Less than 10 minutes. About 4 more laps. 5 laps if these drivers keep up their A game. And we are going to see some non-stop racing action. As you can see, Hughes to the right, tucks back in, trying to see what they can get, where Carl Thompson potentially messes up. Get a bit of slipstream down the Bentley straight, tucks back out to try and cool the car. Remember, balance of overheating temperatures and getting a positional advantage through slipstream. Now the timing is everything, and oh, Thompson's off. Thompson briefly goes into the grass, and that's all the invitation that Hughes needs. He's got the inside. Huram into Murray's now. The Ferrari has taken top honours, and with 7 minutes to go, the leadership has changed. Is Thompson going to respond? Is the Porsche going to respond? He had a minor blunder, and now he's back out for it. You can see he is pushing hard, even so where he's taking some risky lines. Oh, we see a yellow flag. Quinn Kellenberg has just quit the race. Saw a yellow briefly there. Not sure what's happened. I want to check in with some of the lower drivers on this field. Oh, Broadbent just got overtaken by Wallace. But Kellenberg is out of the race. It's just quit. That makes it down to 28 drivers now. Only retirement of the session. Thompson, though, things have not gone well for him. I wonder how his tyre life is doing, because he seems to have had a massive drop-off in pace. Last lap was a 48.7. This lap isn't looking much better. He's had a few off-track excursions, and this lap it is going to be a 48.0. And just as he does that, Hughes is going to be getting a new fastest lap, a 47.027, an entire second clean of the Porsche. So I think his tyres are well and truly chewed. They are done. And unless Thompson is keeping some extra speed, some extra talent in the tank, I think this could be curtains, and Hughes could potentially have this. We only have a couple of laps left before the checkered flag is going to fall. To be honest with you, I haven't had all that much to say about this race because a lot of this racing and driving kind of speaks for itself. You had some really good battles out on the track. You had some really great drivers testing their mettle. You had some really good position gains, some success stories, and also for others, some races to forget. I don't tend to focus on the incidents too much where I can, because I'd much rather focus on the good racing, the metagame, the strategy, where the drivers are really putting themselves through their paces and testing their skills to their limits. Because that's what we come here for. We come to see some quality racing, and whoa! The Shadow Realm beckons. Wilson just decided that he was going to use quantum tunneling. An interesting race tactic. Not one that I've necessarily seen before, but certainly going to give his opponent some confusion there. Yeah, I don't tend to focus on the incidents. Much rather see the more deep mechanics and strategies behind these drivers. Like for instance, McKillop, we come to him a lot because he has been the centre of action. He has constantly been in proximity with other drivers, but he's kept his cool. That certainly can't be, as I say, like just exclusive to McKillop either. Colomb, he has had a rough race. He's had some incidents, but is still sticking it out, is still trying to get the best of the situation. Keith Moore, down in P21, he could still be closing on a P20 if he plays his cards right. Dibertini, done a really good job out here, and has certainly been a driver to watch, had some swings and some misses, but P16, still a good result. North, really consistent driving, and hasn't put a foot wrong. But there you go, you just heard it over the game radio. Mark Hughes has started the final lap. And Iravasuri just up ahead. Carl Thompson 3.3 seconds behind. We have seen some great driving, some great drivers out in this series tonight. But the crucial thing here is that everyone gave it their fair shot. Everyone's given it their best. That's all, as a driver, as an audience, that you can ask for. The drivers give it everything. They play hard, they play fair, and they give each other a heck of a race. So as we come through, almost like a parade lap of sorts. 3.6 seconds and becoming 4 clear of Thompson. Mark Hughes. Conrad Payne. Oh yeah, Conrad Payne. Another great example. An amazing example of a bronze driver who has put on an amazing performance, really punched above their weight, and same can be said for Paul Murray. 10 seconds behind Flack, but in a silver, 10 seconds clear of a podium is a immense feat, an amazing feat. And Kevin as well, and we could go on. Everyone has done an amazing job. But as we cross the line here, Mark Hughes is your round 6 winner here in Group 2. SIMseniors Championship has crowned a winner here at Snetterton. It is going to be Hughes. And then in P2 is going to be Thompson. Flack is going to come across the line next, making the podium for the golds. Paul Murray is going to be taking the top honours for the silver class here, is going to be winning his division quite comprehensively. Yeah, this race has certainly been one of extremes tonight, but one thing cannot be disputed. You've got some shuffling around on the field, and then Dorigo is going to come in next for the second spot. This race certainly has been one of extremes, but in that chaos, some real talented driving has shone through here. And there you go, the flares go off, the drivers bring it home. Certainly not a round to forget here in this championship. Some big ramifications for the wider season. And drivers are going to have... well, they're going to have a tough job ahead of them, because with 4 rounds to go, championship's starting to wrap up. But here we are, folks. Last couple of cars to cross the line here. You have Trickett and Vasuri. And then we have pulled it for the evening. Final car round. Vasuri. Porsche was on top. And welcome to P2. So Porsche last across the line now. That is your timing here, folks. That is the race. So well done to all of the drivers. Amazing job to all. Of course, winners of class, likes of Payne, likes of Murray, likes of Hughes. Pat on the back. And to everyone else who made it towards the end of the race, made it to the finish line. Deserving of that credit all of the same. This is where we sign off, folks. And this is where things take an interesting turn in this championship. We're certainly going to have the stewards working double overtime to make sense of all of the chaos that happened out on this field. But in terms of where we look forward to the future, the 19th of March is your next destination, and Kyalami is where you will land. We will see you there, folks. I've been Ben Sapsford. Take it easy, all of you. It's been a good night. It's been a hectic night. It's time to take a rest before we see you very soon to continue and enter into the final stages of the Season 5 title.